All right, we're on. Right. So, um, no video last week. It was just a week that's in it, and we're late this week. However, schedule should be coming back on track now. So, this is an interesting one. So, let's read this out to you. Chris sent this to me. I'll tell you who Chris is in a minute. Just thought you might like this. In July 1961, Vince Lombardi kicked off the first day of training camp for the 38 players on his Green Bay Packers football team. The prior season had ended with a heartbreaking loss to the Philadelphia Eagles after blowing a lead in the fourth quarter of the NFL championship game. When the players came in to start training camp, they expected to immediately begin where they left off and work on ways to advance their game and learn fancy new ways to win the championship in the new season. When they sat down and began, Vince Lombardi held up a football and said, "Gentlemen, this is a football." He then had everyone open up their playbooks and start on page 1, where they began to learn the fundamentals: blocking, tackling, throwing, catching, etc. That was clearly not what they expected as players who were at the top of their game. This hyper-focus on fundamentals allowed them to win the NFL championship that season 37-0 against the New York Giants. Vince Lombardi went on to win 5 NFL championships in 7 years. He never coached a team He never coached a team with a losing season after that, and never lost a playoff game again. If focusing on fundamentals can elevate a great team to such heights, imagine what it can do for your business and life. We are often putting time, energy, and money into looking for the next magic bullet, quick fix, or business trick. Instead, we should focus on the fundamentals. Srith. Chris Sritharan is a buddy of mine. He's actually one of my teachers when it comes to the movement therapy. He's one of the guys I learn from. But not only that, sorry, I'm trying to get this camera set up better. That's better. Srith has become a friend, and we bounce back and forth on ideas quite a lot. We have similar viewpoints on a lot of things, even if we come at it from different angles, and it's really nice to see that contrast. This is lovely. Vince Lombardi is just a hero of anybody who's in that strength conditioning game and who trains athletes, who's in that sports coaching kind of field. If you don't know who Vince Lombardi is, you have heard of him. You've heard maybe not his name, but Vince Lombardi quotes that get rattled around a lot. Winners never quit, quitters never win. Perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. Like that one, I'll come back to that in a second. Confidence is contagious. So is lack of confidence. The greatest accomplishment is not in never falling, but in rising again after you fall. And there's more. I mean, the dude's an absolute legend. Perfection is not attainable. If we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. It's really common to say you need to get rid of this idea of perfection. Perfection is what do they say? What is it they say? Perfection is the enemy of progress. I'm not really sure. Yeah, a lot of people wait for situations to be perfect before they begin something. Really, you should just get on with it. But you chase perfection. It's that, it's that Mount Everest. It's that mountaintop. It's that North Star. It's that guiding whatever. It's that blue sky vision. You chase perfection. knowing that you'll never achieve it. Paulie, my partner in crime at Wild Geese, Paulie always say perfection is for the gods. Us mortal men will never achieve it. But doesn't mean we don't try. Yeah, in the traditional martial arts, we'd be doing these boom, boom for hours, boom, boom, for hours, looking for this perfect technique, knowing we'd never get there. But the fact we're always chipping away, looking to be somewhat better in some manner by the end of every training session. But what the point of that article we just read out that Chris sent me, not only was Vince Lombardi this incredible coach with this incredible record, with a penchant for these quotes that just seep into public consciousness, and like he's influenced generations of coaches since. The dude's undeniably some kind of genius, but that genius is summed up by his focus on fundamentals. Now, I often talk about my old karate instructor, Jack Parker, the late Jack Parker, who I still miss. Jack would have been my first coach. I started karate. I started training with him when I was 11 years old. And I didn't leave Lancaster, and I didn't leave that club until I was 19 years old. And I still feel part of it, if I'm honest. It's run now by my old training partners, Paul Turner and Chris Hagan. But Jack almost never ran a class without, at least once in that class, shouting, basics, basics, basics. Almost every session. And bear in mind, at the higher grades, we'd be training with a Jack 5-6 days a week. And basics, basics, basics. He just drilled this into us, these fundamentals. Another coach I've worked with, Mick Coop. Mick Coop doesn't like the word basics being used because he finds it belittles these ideas. What Coop will call them are fundamentals. Gentlemen, this is a football. Page 1 of your playbook, how to throw, tackle, block. Fundamental skills. What you learn on day one of any skill set, whatever it is, whether it's sports or whatever other skill set, what you learn on day one, that is the foundation, that is the fundamental upon which everything else is built. And we think of a pyramid. The wider the base, the higher the pyramid can be. What if you listen to interviews, read autobiographies from high performers across almost any field, you'll find it's a real common theme across just about everybody, that this focus on fundamentals is what got them to where they are. We all go through this, we're kids and we're learning fundamentals. Then our teenage years, we go off and we get into all the fancy stuff. And then as we mature, we circle back to basics, to fundamentals. If you watch my training videos, what do you see? Squats, deadlifts, presses, kettlebell swings, push-ups, basics, fundamentals. Have I done fancy stuff? Of course I have. Do I need to do them? No. No, I don't. What use would they be to me? Like, honestly, what use would they be to me? As a karate guy coming up, yeah, I spinning, jumpy, fancy, kicky techniques. But do you know what scored most of my wins? Straight right hand. UFC, same thing. How many wins by submission at a rear naked choke. It's something like 60, 70, 80%. Do you know what I mean? When do you learn a rear naked choke? It's within your first couple of weeks of training, isn't it? Outside of martial arts and fitness, I was watching a video on YouTube. There's a band called Polyphia. They're a young group. This kid, Tim Henson, I find him fascinating. Very intricate guitar playing. And you watch the music reaction videos on YouTube, and everybody's just blown away by his technical ability. Well, there's a video I was watching where he was being interviewed, and he was talking about his own personal practice and how he's gone back to the fundamentals of music, particularly as it pertains to guitar playing, and how he wishes he'd have done it while he was younger. Now, Polyphia really broke huge there in the last few years as a YouTube-focused band. I've listened to quite a lot of the music, and it is better more recently. Does that coincide with his focus on the fundamentals? With him circling back to the basics? I don't know. He might, but I don't know. It takes maturity. It takes maturity to focus on the fundamentals, to go back to basics, to cut away all the fluff and go back to the core, the core stuff that you learn in week 1, week 2 of anything you're doing. It does take maturity, because we all want the next trick, the next fancy thing, the shortcut, the one weird trick, the hack. Hacks have been huge recently. I despise it. Despise the idea of hacks and hacking. You cannot hack your body. You cannot hack your nervous system. You really can't. Can you make it run better? Yeah. How? Well, we go back to the fundamentals. What are the fundamentals of the human, animal, and our nervous system? Well, let's have a think. Would it be our gait cycle and our breathing as the two most fundamental movement patterns? Every mammal is born with the ability to get on its feet and walk within a few hours of being birthed. Humans are pretty much the exception. There might be more exceptions. Let me know. Drop me a comment. I don't know. But humans are the exception. The reason being, our heads are too bloody big because of this brain inside. Yeah. But our gait cycle, our ability to get up and move away from danger, and our ability to breathe, they're our fundamental movement patterns. We take them for granted. Nobody thinks about them. All right. Most of my injury management, the way I get people out of pain, the rehab work that I do with people, is built on the gait cycle and the breathing. And then we add loaded movements, exercises. What else is fundamental? Daylight, sunshine. Yeah. Look out that window. That's a rare sight in Ireland, I'll tell you that much. Yeah. So the gait cycle, breathing, sunshine, water, clean food. They're the fundamentals. And what do we not hear too much about? We're hearing more about sunlight these days, but they're not particularly marketable. They're not really monetizable. You don't make money, really, by having somebody sit there and breathe in and breathe out. Very, very difficult to monetize the gait cycle because people walk less and less and less, so maybe it will become marketable. But yeah, fundamentals. You want to hack the nervous system, you go back to the absolute fundamentals. Gray Cook did a great job with his developmental stage work, which was fantastic, getting people lying on the face, prone, lifting the head up, rolling, crawling, some sort of squat, and then gait cycle. Tim Anderson, with Original Strength, has basically run with that and turned it into a fantastic system, which I steal from quite a lot. Fundamentals, guys, the basics, the boring basics. That is where all the good shit happens. That's how the advanced stuff becomes possible. The 80-20 rule, 80% of results come from 20% of our efforts. So surely your efforts should go into, no, hold on, 80% of results come from 20% of our techniques, yeah. So flip that a little bit, put 80% of your effort into those fundamentals, those fundamental techniques. The remaining 20% of your effort could go on the other stuff, the fancy stuff. Do have fun. 20% is the fun. Do have fun. But if you want real results, fundamentals, and yeah, you can argue it's boring. However, is progress boring? Is getting better boring? Is measurable, trackable success boring? Shouldn't be. That should be the exciting part. And the work you do to make that exciting stuff happen, well, that's mostly your fundamentals. Alrighty. Thanks to Chris for sending in that quote. I've long been a fan of Lombardi. Look him up yourselves. See what you can find. Let me know. Interesting character. And he's right. Jack Parker was right. Mick Cooper's right. Fundamentals. Basics. 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 Right. Just a reminder, I want your questions. Fire them into me. Drop a comment. Send them in through the website. Do the whole like, subscribe, bell stuff. This is YouTube after all. Okay. And I'll see you in the next video, which should be first half of next week. Back on schedule. Alrighty. Till next time. Let's go.